The weather here on the Isle of Man has been fantastic for the last few weeks. We've had really hot temperatures and nice sunny days with really good visibility. However, today's obviously different. You can see behind me, it's grey, it's murky, it's misty, it's just not very nice. So for the majority of landscape shooting, it's not particularly favourable weather conditions. However, for coastal long exposures, it's perfect. So I've come to a location called Jurby Beach, which sits on the northwest coast of the island. And my particular focus today is that shipwreck behind me. Now, I don't know a huge amount about the history of this shipwreck, but I know that it's been here for something like 100 years, so it's not a recent one at all. It's probably the best shipwreck on the Isle of Man. It's relatively easy to get to and it's quite photogenic. However, you can only reach here on extreme low tides. So I think I've timed this correctly, although I would say I'm probably slightly too early because the water at the moment is probably about 30 meters back from the actual shipwreck. So I'm going to pick out my compositions here, get set up and wait for that tide to slowly come in. What I'm going for today is I want to get long exposures with the actual sea lapping round the bottom of here. Now, in my mind, with this foggy kind of weather, I thought because the fog sits on the horizon, it's kind of blurring the distinction between the sky and the sea. So in my mind, my idea here is to try and almost make the shipwreck look like it's floating, where there's not that distinction. And I think with a long exposure that is possible, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. I've never tried this kind of shot at this location, so I'm not sure exactly how fast the tide comes in here and how it actually sits on the sand here. So yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a trial and error shoot, I think. Fog and the mist has really thickened up in the last 10 minutes, so it's a tad spooky out here now, but it's absolutely perfect and these are the weather conditions that I wanted. So fingers crossed that this dense fog stays here in this location, because if so, it's going to mean that kind of removing that distinction between the sky and the sea becomes very easy to achieve. What is it about photography and tides? When you don't want the tide to come in fast, it does, and when you want it to come in fast, it doesn't. The tide here has taken an eternity to come in. I've been here for the best part of an hour and it honestly doesn't look like it's got any closer to that ship behind me. So it's touch and go here. I've obviously messed up the tides, and my concern is that the mist is now being burned away by the sun as it rises higher in the sky. So it's touch and go whether I'm going to get that nice blurring of the horizon that I was looking for. It increasingly looks like the weather conditions aren't going to play ball with me today. The grey, foggy weather is moving that way, and in its place I'm getting quite good visibility actually, and I can see my horizon. I'm even getting little glimpses of blue sky poking through, and that's really not what I wanted at all. But I'm going to stick here and hope that that changes and another bank of fog rolls in. If it doesn't, in any case, I think there's probably still a shot to be had here. But this highlights one of the most frustrating things about landscape photography. It's very easy to get one natural phenomenon to line up with your shoot, but to get more than one, quite difficult. So today, to get the fog to align with the right tide for this location, that's just a matter of chance, and you may need to come back to this location multiple times in order to get the conditions to be exactly the way you want them. The tide is now coming in at an absolutely furiously fast pace, so I'm going to have to make this quick and get out of here. You can see I've got my tripod set up here. I've popped on my 70 to 200mm lens, and I've come back from the ship and zoomed fully in. This will give me maximum time before the water gets to me, but as you can see, it's really not too far away, so I've probably only got a few minutes at best before I'm going to have to get out of here. I think that part of the ship is probably the most photogenic part, so I'm zooming right into it The water's now lapping around the base of it quite nicely, exactly what I was looking for. Unfortunately, you can see a bit of a horizon. I don't have that mist effect I was looking for, but it's not too bad. It's still quite grey and there's not a huge contrast between sea and sky. If you're eagle-eyed, you may notice I have got a Lee filter set, and that's a brand new purchase, and I will cover that on a separate video soon. I've had to buy that because obviously I've changed all my lenses recently. In terms of setup for this shot, I've popped on a 10-stop Lee filter. I've got a 2-stop graduated hard edge filter to equalize the sea and sky. The sky is slightly brighter than the sea, and I've also got a polarizer filter on to take a little bit of the glare off the water. In terms of settings, I am shooting at ISO 64, f10 at 30 seconds, fully in at 200mm. The tide came in scarily fast there, so I really didn't have very much time to shoot. But yeah, I managed to get a few shots, and hopefully one will turn out okay. You can see behind me now in the distance there, the shipwreck is quite quickly disappearing out of sight completely. But the shot itself wasn't exactly what I had in mind, but it wasn't a million miles away. So yeah, pretty satisfied overall. It was good to get out and try the Lee filters for the first time as well. I've never tried using them before. They're a little bit fiddly, and I think they'll take a little bit of getting used to, but I'm sure with a little bit of practice I'll work out my workflow for using them effectively and efficiently in the field. I'll come to you with a separate video soon covering those filters in more detail. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this little adventure on the coast to this shipwreck. I'm sure I'll be back here again. It's a really nice spot. I think particularly for sunsets it works really well because it sits out on the west coast. So yeah, I'm sure it's not the last you'll see of it. But if you've enjoyed today's video, please consider liking this video or add comments. I always like to read the comments. And if you've really liked it, please consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time, goodbye.